Today we look at the WELOCK Smartlock U81. Now I have carried out a review of one of the WELOCK Smartlocks before, but they sent me out a new one just to test out and give my review on what I think it is. Well, WELOCK is a global pioneer in smart door technology and dedicated to making homes safer and smarter for over 10 years now. Since establishing back in 2013, they have focused on developing high quality smart lock cylinders and fingerprint lock cylinders, becoming the first company worldwide to integrate biometric fingerprint technology into lock cylinders. Now you might wonder why I need this. Well, having a 3D printing business, I do need to have a safe environment. So it's interesting for me to be able to carry out a review of this, considering of the type of things that I do on this channel. With their proprietary live fingerprint algorithms, AI is something across security chips and international certification. WELOCK delivers bank-grade security, instant unlocking and anti-tampering protection throughout all of their systems. And something I'm going to do today is just basically go through the unboxing, have a look at what sort of features and what sort of content you'll receive with the WELOCK U81, and then we'll put a live install and then see how we can do our fingerprint recognition and the key code entry into my studio. And that's what we're going to focus on in this review. So let's take a look at what's in the contents of the box. So taking a look inside the contents of the box, we have the two keys, which is an upgrade from the previous model. We also have an Allen key, and at the back we have a front cover and a rear cover if you wanted additional covers just to remove the gap between the actual lock and the door itself. Inside the box you have a number of items such as screws, a new lock cylinder extension kit, a cross screw, and the RFID cards, and there's 3 of those. And you also have a silicone sleeve cover if you wanted to change the cover as well. So right now we have the blue one installed, but you can swap it over to the more discreet black silicone sock. So like I say, in there you have the fixed screw for the battery cover, rear handle screws and the manual. So now taking a look at the actual lock itself, as you can see you have the twisted indoor handle and you also have the external. So this one has the fingerprint, the RFID, you've got the twist handle with the silicone sock. If you remove that, you actually have the access for the key, and then you have a display which will obviously give you some information as to what you can do, and then you have the touch keypad, so you can also have an entry with a key code. So with this you've got 3 or 4 different options to enter into your facility. So you have the key, the fingerprint, and you also have the touch keypad and the RFID. So you have a number of different options, which is obviously a upgrade from the previous review that I carried out for WELOCK. It didn't have the key option, which I really like that as a backup option just in case all else fails. Like I said, you can swap over the cover sock, the silicone sock, over to a more discreet uniform color, which is what I'm going to do when I do this install. And I really like the fact that you can do that, because obviously things like this do need to be discreet, being a security system. So now what we want to do is just take a quick look over. So at the bottom you will notice there's an Allen key port. Just using the supplied Allen key, we're going to remove the battery cover. It's very easy to do. You just loosen the screw with the Allen key and then pull out the actual battery compartment itself. This particular model takes 4 AAA batteries and they aren't included in the packaging. Very easy to do. Just open up the battery cover, it just pops off like that, and make sure as you actually set up this unit to use 4 AAA batteries. Once you finish, just basically do the opposite to the uninstall and just put it back into the housing itself, and that will trigger the actual unit to turn on. And I'll show that a little bit later on in the video for the steps to actually set up the screen itself. As you can see, just replacing the Allen key is nice and easy. So now we put the battery cover back on, you'll notice there is a sticky side to the unit itself if you wanted to connect it up to the door more permanently. Personally, I would prefer not to do that because I think it damages the door and the unit itself if you wanted to quickly swap it over like I would potentially want to do. As you'll notice that I'm just removing the plastic cover into the indoor lock part. You will need to do that to be able to have access to the Allen key, which you'll need to remove in install. So once again, on top you have the fingerprint recognition, and then you have the handle itself. Let's just take a quick look over that. So you can, as I said, the silicone sock come with the blue, but we swapped it over to the black. You have the RFID tags that you can use, which is great for Airbnb, or if you want to hand it out to a business unit and you have a number of people that you want to access. So once again, this is the contents of the box. Basically, you'll receive all of these items in this unit. So you'll have the lock, the covers, the keys, and the box of spares, etc., the instructions manual. And on the front of the box, it just gives you a clear indication as what it's capable of. So you have the fingerprint recognition, you have the key code, the RFID, and the actual lock, and a number of other security systems such as Wi-Fi control, and you can go through their smart Wi-Fi app. Everything is controlled that way. So what we're going to now do is actually carry out the install of the battery itself, following the previous setup, which is to remove the Allen key screws at the bottom, just the one, and pull the actual unit out. Undo the cover, and then what we want to do is add the 4 AAA batteries. Nice and easy. These aren't supplied in the unit, so you will need to make sure that you have these to hand when purchasing this item. It might be sensible to use fairly decent types of battery, bearing in mind this holds a charge for a period of time and you don't want it to cut out halfway through. In my case, I am using slightly cheaper batteries, but this is for demonstration purposes on this occasion. Once you've finished, just connect up the cover and reinstall. You'll notice that the actual unit starts to carry out a initialization step, and it'll make a number of bleeps and flashes of light, and then you'll know that it's actually worked, and that's what we're going to do now. So replace the Allen key screw, and then we are ready to go over the actual unit itself. So when you first start up, it will ask you to select what language. It's very easy to do, just select 1 through to 7. English is actually the default language, so if you don't actually touch it beforehand, if you find that you have touched the buttons or the numbers before you have actually set up, you can just remove the battery for a period of time and it will actually reset it and go through to the language selection screen again. That's all in the settings operation guide, so don't worry if you actually get that. I did actually commit that particular issue. I just removed the batteries and reset the actual system itself. Now, to do the initial unlock test, you can press any button, press 1 2 3 4 5 6, which is the baseline password, and then press unlock. As you can see, once you have activated that, you can spin it round. What we want to do is actually modify the admin passcode and create our own passcode, and by doing that, you just press unlock, press 1 2 3 4 5 6, unlock, and then enter your new password, and then unlock again, and then your password again, and then unlock. And basically that will then give you your new passcode. I'm just going to carry out a password just for the sake of it on this occasion, just to prove the principle of how this works. So as you can see on screen, it will ask you to put in your new password, and this occasion I will be changing this for future, just so that my password isn't out there for everyone to see, just in case. But this, like I say, this is just for demonstration, and you can add lots of passwords for other administrators if you want to. You always have to have an admin as well, and you can add up to 190 different users, which I think is an extensive list of people, especially if you have a business that has more than 1 or 10 people. And these are easily used for such as Airbnb environments, which I think is a great feature for keeping your business or your property safe. What you want to do after every change is just to verify it works. So let's enter the password, press unlock, and if it shines green, it's working, and the actual lock will work, as you can see, from the demonstration on screen. So that has all worked. So the next thing you can do is add administrators, or if you want to add fingerprint recognition, which is what I'm going to do now, and add that step into this process. So once again, you want to do any key, unlock, your admin password, in my case, my new password, unlock, then number one, and then enter your fingerprint 5 times or swipe the RFID card. The RFID card does need to be shown from the front and not from the fingerprint recognition. So try and hover it over the actual passcode area and that will work. That was something that I needed to work out myself after a number of tries. But like I say, following this simple setting operation guide, it gives you all of the information that you require and all of the step-by-step guide to actually carry out all the changes and then unlock and lock sequence. So you have the fingerprint, you have the key code, you have the RFID and the key. So like I say, you can add up to 190 users, which is an extensive amount of opportunities to add passwords and verification. So like I say, let's just carry out the fingerprint recognition and see if that works. So you want to add number 1 and then number 2, and then we'll do the RFID. So from the front, just tap it on the actual thing. It will bleep, so you'll know that it's actually been registered and that has worked for us. And you just back up until you are completely out of the system. As you can see, we're spinning it round and it's not working. Press any key, unlock, press that over, and you'll notice that it flashes green again, and now you can see it's unlocked. So we have the key code and the RFID completely activated on this. And this is unique to all of the different RFID cards, and I'm sure on the website you can actually purchase more if you want more than the 3 that are supplied with the unit. And in my case, I do have 3 from a previous review, so I do have the opportunity to extend it to another 3 if I so require. So taking a look over all the security systems is what we're doing right now, and then what we're going to do is head over into the installation. As you can see, it's recognizing my fingerprint, which is another setup. It's so easy to do, and you can do that with all of the people in your property or in your business. So what a great feature to have so many different options to be able to get in to your facility. Okay, so now we're going on to the installation step. So just following this simple guide, we should be able to install this really easy into the area which I've selected. I have already removed the actual old lock, so that's just a simple screw from the side and remove the barrel itself. But before we can do that, we do need to remove the inner handle to be able to slot that through into the actual lock itself. Nice and simply, using the Allen key that was supplied, just remove the inner handle and it just pulls off. Don't remove the Allen key screw completely because you will need to use that. So as you can see, you need to align the barrel and slot straight through. But on screen now you see the app, and the app needs to be registered, and on the side of the barrel you do have a unique ID reference, so make sure you take a note of that before the installation. You will need this to be able to bind it to the app. On the app you can control who comes in and comes out, and you can also control who's been in and can keep a track of who's been using it, as you can see on screen. And it tells you what access they use, whether it was fingerprint recognition or RFID. And you can also have a number of different locks to control, and you can select who have access and how long they've got access for. I really like this app. It's something that I can keep control on who has had access into my facility. On screen now you'll notice that I used the supplied lock into that area, and then you lock it into place. Just make sure that the barrel aligns with the screw from the side, and once you've done that, you can replace the inner lock with the Allen key, and that is then secured in place. Once you've completed that, the whole system is in place, and you just want to double check that everything is working as intended. So double check that your key codes and your RFID and your fingerprint and the actual lock can open and shut, just to make sure that you're not leaving your area unattended and not locked at all times. But seeing the app screen on screen now, you'll notice that it has so many different options to carry out checks. It also gives you an up-to-date on how the batteries are lasting on the unit, and it is Bluetooth and Wi-Fi activated, and like I say, you can have a number of different options for that. With the WeLock website, you have so many different options to choose from. This is the U81, and I've really enjoyed actually testing this one out. In comparison to the previous review of a WeLock that I carried out, this one is so much more advanced and something that I will be using in future. The fact that it has the fingerprint, the RFID, the key code and the key, for me just opens up so much more options. And as you can see, every time you unlock it, it does go green, and then you can lock it and it bleeps and basically it's locked. As you can see, I've really enjoyed that. So the WeLock Smartlock U81 is currently on sale at the moment, so check out the website in the link in the description.